history. NADECO and Tinubu fought Abacha as the military dictator who scuttled the will of the Nigerian people in 1993 June 12 elections.
Hi fam, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dima. So recently NADECO has given a press release on the 8th of March 2023. So if you don't know what NADECO means, NADECO is National Democratic Coalition Nigeria. It's an organization that was formed by Nigerian Democrats in 1994. The main purpose was to fight democracy. It was formed in 1994 after the June 12, 1993 democratic election, which was supposed to make MK Abiola the democratic president-elect. So the main purpose of the group was to fight democracy in Nigeria, and the main again they formed the group because Sani Abacha, who happens to be the military head of state as of then, refused to step down for MK Abiola. So a lot of some of Nigerian Democrats, especially from the southwest, that is Yoruba part of the country, they all came together to form this group so that they can fight for democracy, so that they can fight Sani Abacha to step down for MK Abiola. All of us know what happened on that day of that 12 June 1993. So recently they came out to condemn the February 25th, 2023 election, and they tagged Tinubu as a civilian dictator. You can imagine. And the funny thing is that Tinubu is one of the founding fathers or one of the founding members of this NADECO group. And NADECO has come out to say that Tinubu can no longer be their member because he's not fighting for democracy. We saw all that happened on the February 25th of 2023. We saw how election was rigged. We saw how Tinubu was so desperate, and this is what desperation can lead to. Tinubu is so desperate. He's so desperate to be in power. He's ready to bring anybody down just to be in power. What is worse than a dictator? If Tinubu should be Nigerian president, we are going to experience the worst ever presidency, or worst leadership, or the worst government ever, worse than that of Sani Abacha, because according to NADECO, they described Tinubu to be a civilian dictator. So they're now saying that they've come out to say that Tinubu cannot and will not, because all of us know that February 25th election was not free and fair. And they've also called on the United States and the rest of the world not to send a congratulatory message to Tinubu because he's not the president-elect. And they've also said that the US should place a visa ban on Tinubu, INEC Chairman, and as well of Buhari, because all these things are all their handwork. These are where all their plans. So they need to place a visa ban on these people, and they have to stay back to Nigeria to fight to face the wrath of the people. They have to stay back to face the consequences of what they've caused. If you guys have noticed, since Tinubu was declared the president-elect, people expected him to go about, go on state tour, like, go to different states to appreciate them for their vote, but he has never done that. Even P2B, that is not even the president-elect, that was not even the person that was declared as the president, is going about visiting different states, appreciating them for their vote. Whereas our president is there relaxed. Anyway, he cannot do it because physically Tinubu cannot. Physically Tinubu is not fit. Health-wise, he's not fit. He just wants to be the president of country because of his desperation, because of his hunger for power, and which is very wrong of him. This is a very wrong approach from his side, considering the fact that he's a member of a democratic organization like as big as this NADECO. So I'm going to leave the full video for you guys to watch, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. This election is not good. And one more thing, Atiku himself has come out to Atiku has a PDP, and Atiku has withdrawn their case from the court against APC. And I know some of us might have seen a video of APC group. They've been protesting that these two parties, these two opposition parties, should withdraw their case from the court. I'm like, you are the person that said if this election was not free and fair, that the opposition party have the right to go to the court. Then why are you taking to the streets of Abuja or different part of the country to protest that they should withdraw the case? Why should they withdraw the case if the election was free and fair? So they've been going about saying that these opposition parties should. I don't know whether they're trying to put intimidation in these people, but P2B is not somebody to be intimidated, because P2B this thing has happened to him before. He's grounded, he knows what to do. So he's not somebody that he's that can easily let go. You understand what I mean? So and besides that, Tinubu's member of the APC organization have been going about telling world leaders to send them congratulation or congratulatory message. I'm like, you are the president-elect. You don't have to beg people to congratulate you. You don't have to beg people to, wish you well. You don't have to. If this election was free and fair, you don't have to beg for it, okay? People will willingly send their messages to you, send their congratulatory messages to you, okay? But because of this election wasn't free and the world was watching, this is not 1993 or 2015 election. This is 2023 election. People are out. Social media made it possible for people to see everything that happened on that day of election, okay? Let me leave you guys to watch the full video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and let me know in your comments in the comment section below if P2B is going to pull through. But for me, I'm strongly believing that P2B is going to pull through, because he's a very strong and intelligent man. He's not a man that's going to just let go. He's not a coward. He's not going to just let go like that. He's going to see the end of this case. Okay, thank you so much, and see you in my next one. Bye.
History. NADECO and Tinubu fought Abacha as the military dictator who scuttled the will of the Nigerian people in 1993 June 12 elections. Ironically, exactly 30 years later, in 2023, NADECO is fighting the same species of dictatorship, but only this time a much more dangerous civilian dictatorship, a kleptocracy mostly perpetuated by one of those who fought Abacha then. NADECO will not look the other way simply because the fraud was perpetrated by one of its founding members.
Thank you very much. I'm Bruce Duvalier, and I am General Counsel for NADECO, and I'm honored to be part of an illustrious group such as NADECO that has a long history of trying to do the right thing and keep democracy safe, restore democracy, and restore the rule of law. And the primary question I think that should be asked, most of the people here in the audience know this, is why should we care about Nigeria? Why should the United States care about Nigeria? Why should the international community care about Nigeria? What would you say if I told you that there was a country that has arguably the world's oldest democracy with full participation of all of its members? What would you say if I told you that there is a country where a group of people has the oldest written constitution featuring guarantees for individual freedom and due process in the world? What would you say if I told you there was a country that featured full participation of women in its political system, both to vote and to govern? And they started doing this when Europe was in the Dark Ages, in the 800s. What would you say if I told you there was a country that is consistently in the top 10 of oil-producing nations since the 1980s? What would you say if I told you this same country has never been openly antagonistic to the United States, has never been an enemy of the United States, in fact, has never been an enemy of the West? What would you say if I told you this very same country has the greatest number of doctors living in the United States of America per capita than any other nation in the world. More than England, more than Russia, more than Germany. What would you say if I told you that 29% of the immigrants from this country over the age of 25 hold a graduate degree, when you compare that to 11% of the population of the United States over the age of 25 holding a graduate degree? This country has almost 3 times more people holding graduate degrees here in the United States, contributing to our economy and our well-being and our security. What would you say if I told you the same country has 45% of the involvement of its people, the immigrants that live here, the diaspora, in education services, and most are professors at top universities? What would you say if I told you the same country I'm talking about has they're entering the medical fields and the technological fields in a rapidly expanding rate? They're increasing the U.S. economy. They are entrepreneurs. They are making America better, building tech companies in the United States to help the people back home. Would anybody be able to guess that country was in Africa? Would anybody be able to guess that country is Nigeria? Because it is. That's Nigeria. So when you say, why Nigeria, it is almost a fool's question. One of the greatest nations that has all of these things going for it, and yet we constantly turn our back on Nigeria. Shouldn't we be favoring this nation? Shouldn't we be more attentive to this nation? Shouldn't we treat this nation, this giant of an entire continent, not of a region or an area, of an entire continent that stands out as a shining beacon, shouldn't we treat them as especially favored allies of the United States and indeed of the West? Especially given the insecurity in the world today with issues relating to extremism and energy shortages. Don't you think that this is a nation that the world should readily leap to the fore to protect, to ensure the well-being so it can continue on its pathway to greatness? Yeah, we're talking about Nigeria, the largest nation in Africa. It is the wealthiest nation in Africa, and yet it's the poorest country in the world. Nigeria now has more people living below the poverty line than any other nation in the world, which is a remarkable feat, given that there are 234 million people in Nigeria and approximately 1.4 billion people in India, the former dubious leader of world's poverty. How can we let that happen? How can we turn our back? How is that possible? Nigeria is also the site of the largest genocidal slaughter the world has seen since World War II. And yet nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to do anything about it. I am here very proud to be involved with NADECO because NADECO wants to do something about that. Something is very, very, very wrong. And it starts with the ability to choose your leaders in full, open, and fair elections. Nigeria has descended into a kleptocracy. And what that means is theft is the coin of the realm. Not due process, not laws, not fundamental fairness, not the pursuit of happiness, not freedom, not family, not religion, not work, not prosperity, but who can steal the most first and go back and steal some more. And that is something that I believe the Nigerian people can solve on their own, but they're going to have the help. We cannot continue to turn our back on Nigeria. The international ramifications or aspects are very clear. Article 25 of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which was adopted in 1966, became law and active in 1976, was adopted by the United States in 1992 and by Nigeria, fully adopted, says that every citizen shall have the right and the opportunity, without any of the distinctions mentioned in Article 2 and without unreasonable restrictions, to take part in the conduct of public affairs directly or through freely chosen representatives, and to vote. This treaty signed by Nigeria and by the United States, and by the way, in the United States, when we sign a treaty, it becomes the law of the land with certain restrictions. So the United States has to comply with this. Nigeria has to comply with this international edict. It is as fundamental as any human right. And let me quote the UN, the Covenant 25 says, to vote and to be elected at genuine periodic elections, which shall be by universal and equal suffrage and shall be held by secret ballot, guaranteeing the free expression of the will of the electors. That's why this is important. We have a violation of international law that rises to a violation of human rights, and we all know the human rights violations that follow. And it's by a nation that we should hold in special favor, that we should hold more closely, that we should take better care of. The fact of the matter is that what was supposed to happen, and again, we are not partisan, NADECO is not partisan, but it appears as though the process, and that's what nations, that's what a democracy is. That's the greatness of America, is the process. It's not the people, it's the process. It's not the result, it's the process. How our government works, how our elections work. And the process of this election in the 2023 Nigerian presidential elections appears to be fundamentally flawed. We believe, NADECO believes, that the February 25 to 26, 2023 election, the results, the hasty announcement of the results, are fundamentally at odds with the Nigerian election laws. And as Dr. Ogebi said very clearly, they didn't just violate rules, they violated their own laws. INEC glorified their efforts to make this the cleanest, the purest, the most transparent and fair election in Nigerian history, in African history. And yet, they violated every single fundamental tenet in every single law. They instituted the bimodal voter accreditation system. You've heard about that, the BVAS. All that is, make no mistake about it, there's a lot on the internet that seems to people want to believe that when you voted with the BVAS that recorded your vote and your vote was sent somewhere and it went to a server and it was tabulated.